was born in Johannesburg. She was the first of the great singers from her country to bring South African music to the world. They call her Mama Africa, the queen of South African music, Miriam Makeba.
Crying, the fathers were working in the city. The evening news brought out all the publicity. Just a little atrocity deep in the city. Somewhere to blue.
My name happens to be Zenzi Kamakeba Kaqashu Ngulawo nguvama iketile nenqawa bantwana balomzi xa ufuna ubajabulisa ubathengela ibhotile yotywala sithi xa sawugqiba ukutya sithathe izitya sizikhabe sivuke ngomso sizichole ezo zingakhoyo zingabikho njalo singamalawo singamanenekazi singamaqashu singamanqamlanqindi.
My mother was caught brewing this African beer which we call umqombothi, and she was arrested. I was 18 days old. She did the 6 months in jail with the baby. Me.
I've always liked music since I was very young, and in 1952 I joined a group. They were not professional, but singing with them around the country. I was heard by another group, and they were already professional performers, and they asked me to join them, and I sang with them for 3 years.
One thing with Miriam, she had the kind of rendering some of the songs that she did with the most perfect feeling. If it was going to be a little jazzy kind of thing, she used to be there. If it was going to be a sentimental song, she was ready.
Miriam came on and sang with the Cuban brothers, and the 13 of us were up in the balcony, and we were just completely mesmerized, completely mesmerized. That was the first time I saw Miriam, 1953, and we were all madly in love with her, you know. She had such an impact on us, we were just blown away. Always saying, hey, there's Miriam Makeba, you know, her and the Skylarks were just like the meanest dressers. I mean, they were the best dressed women in the country. And they wore like very high heels, and they just like, nobody looked like them. Even Marilyn Monroe couldn't get anywhere near there.
I love this place. And besides being the political maker of South Africa. I mean, Mandela is here, was here. Here was Mutuping of the PAC. This was like the mecca. This was blacks only. Used to pack this place up. You know, where all the groups would perform, the Manhattan Brothers, Emily Kwenane, Miriam Makeba, Dolly Ratebe, the Skylarks, of course. Hiya kudu zindot sele yotwendlini Iyakuduza mama lendo tumfazi usesilungwini. Iyakuduza iswele imali ayisebenzi lendo tumfazi usesilungwini. Ingane azikho ekhaya ziyokwetheza inkuni. Iyakuduza mama yangile ndoda mfazi usesilungwini. Ayibo!
I did a show called African Jazz and Variety. And while doing this, we were performing at the Johannesburg City Hall, which was the first time that we were allowed to perform in the city and to white audiences as Black Africans. While we were there, an American came to South Africa. His name was Lionel Rogerson from New York. He came there to make a film. He wanted to make a music travelogue. He would film certain things that showed the life of the African in South Africa living under apartheid, which is segregation. And he smuggled those films out. And he asked me to sing in this film. I sang 2 songs.
She left in early 1959 to go to the Venice Film Festival. The government didn't know, but as soon as that film won, Miriam was immediately banned. But her mother used to bring Sibongile to Doke House to prepare for Sibongile to go and join Miriam, who was already in New York by then and had big success.
This is the house where Miriam lived with her family. There was no wall. It was a 4-roomed house. Like that one, it was an ordinary 4-roomed house. I remember when Miriam left, and then she sent for Bongi. We took her away to the airport, and Mama Christina was very sad. She was really affected by Bongi's. I mean, she was affected by Miriam's, and especially when she learned that Miriam was never going to be allowed back into this country.
Goodbye, mother. Goodbye, father. And to you, my little baby. Goodbye. Until we meet again. Farewell to friends.
Miriam Makeba, of course I remember. She played here December 1959. And, le telefono. Can I answer the phone? Village Vanguard. For when? Next Sunday at 9 o'clock, okay. May I have your last name? Okay, thank you. A man made the movie, Lionel Rogerson, called Come Back Africa, which played in the neighborhood. And it was a beautiful movie, we all saw it. But in order for her to come to this country, she had to have a job and to work. And Lionel Rogerson came to my husband, Max Gordon, who had the Vanguard, who said, would you like to give the room to Miriam Makeba so she could perform? And my husband loved the movie. He said, oh, yes, absolutely. Miriam was a phenomena, you know, it's a salsa, and we're all doing clicking all night. Click away. And then a gentleman came down, among others, to hear her, named Harry Belafonte. And he fell in love with her, too. Well, Harry was much more powerful than we were, and so he whisked her away from Lionel Rogerson and my husband, Max Gordon. Took her away. If I were Miriam, I would have gone with Harry. I mean, he had a whole tour arranged for her. He promoted her. It's his culture as well. He made a big thing out of that. Oh, pardonnez-moi.
Miriam became very successful, and I brought her out and introduced her to the West. It was through me and through Come Back Africa that she got her start, met Belafonte, became a great star in New York. Overnight, just incredible how fast, through Belafonte, mainly.
We have used constantly our platform in order to project new people. We have used our power. We have used our craft in order to set platforms for other artists to be able to project themselves, other black artists. So that despite the inequities, despite the contradictions within this society, it has not deterred us from a black consciousness, or we have not left the community. I am physically removed from the community. I am spiritually committed to the community. As long as one black brother or sister anywhere in the world is in bondage, there is no freedom for me. I may have a certain material freedom, but spiritually, I am in the same darkness that all others will find themselves.
For her to meet Harry Belafonte, Sidney Poitier, Marlon Brando, when she was here, it's amazing. I mean, it's something that everybody will be dreaming of meeting and doing. So it is just, I mean, it's everything was there for her. And she has such a pride in her own culture that even if she sings any jazz tune, you always hear South Africa in there.
In the last 3 years, I have made 2 trips around the world. And on both occasions, I was privileged to perform in most of the major capitals. While in these countries, I talked with and performed with many, many other artists. Some of them were wonderful, such as the artist you're about to see now. A young lady from South Africa, Miss Miriam Makeba.
When I saw his face, the berryman cried, won't you try this? We looked, we bought, we stole a kiss. The berries are gone and the spring has passed, but I know my love will always last. Though rain has come with sudden haste, love's got a fresh strawberry taste. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah.
She did a few records in America and actually asked if there was a possibility for her to be able to feature us with herself in America. But it seemed as if it was not going to be possible because Harry Belafonte and people like that were on the scene. And I was quite disappointed that even my dear Miriam had to allow that, because I would have thought, she would have insisted that, no, look, these are the people I want to be, to back me, but it was not possible.
kind of people that she surrounded herself with, such as Kwame Ture, also known as Stokely Carmichael, Mr. Harry Belafonte as well. They always gave her advice, and they always said, never forget where you came from. You know, that was always something she always had engraved in her mind, to always remember where she was from.
You know, my brother, there's no faster way you can send a message than a song. So Miriam spoke and Miriam sang about what was happening in this part of the world. And really, in her little way, as the people think it was little, it was mighty. Because the people that heard her say these things began to want to know what is really happening around South Africa.
Kauleza is a South African song. It comes from the townships, locations, reservations, whichever, near the cities of South Africa, where all the black South Africans live. The children shout from the streets as they see police cars coming to raid their homes for one thing or another. They say, Kauleza mama, which simply means, hurry mama, please, please don't let them catch you. Kauleza mama, kauleza mama, kauleza mama, kauleza mama, kauleza mama, sheshi sabo.
But there's one statement she always phrased. She always said, I do not sing politics, I merely sing the truth.
She came in a country where it is portrayed a country of freedom, the biggest country in the world. She couldn't leave South Africa. She was the first African artist ever that spoke at the United Nations and asked for the boycott of South Africa. I mean, it takes guts to do that in the 60s.
Since Sharpeville, many terrible things have occurred in my country. Our political parties were declared illegal, and the leaders were forced to go underground. Some 5,000 people have in recent months been put behind prison bars. Among those who have been jailed and detained or restricted are many of our prominent leaders, which include Nelson Mandela. My country has been turned into a huge prison. This, therefore, does not leave us with any option but to ask the United Nations to take positive action against the South African government, calling for a complete boycott on South Africa and especially the sending of arms by outside powers to South Africa. Thank you.
It's like home, sweet home. Like home, sweet home.
I'll get a beer.
Well, I got a call from Hugh Masekela one early morning. I think it was a Saturday morning early. And I had just gotten home from the after-hours joint. Anyway, I got there. That was that very same day, Saturday, I went for the audition. And Savuka happened to be one of the people auditioning. And then Savuka picks up the accordion. And he starts to play some, and I have never liked the accordion.
I had no reason to, same here.
Until I heard this guy play. I said, oh wow, I said, this is not just an accordion. It's no circus. This is an orchestra I'm joining, you know.
I made the audition on Monday. And I guess they called me back either the next day or something very relative to that. Within a 2-week period, I had a passport. Mm-hmm. Do you believe this?
Mm-hmm. I know that.
And I was on my way to somewhere. We did quite a bit of this, so we get stuck in the mud, but she's trying to help. How to do this?
Pata is the name of a dance we do down Johannesburg way. And everybody starts to move as soon as Pata Pata starts to play. Time. Woo! The music keeps going all night long till the morning sun begins to shine. Here's Isaac Kazat, yo! Isaac Kazat, yo! Isaac Kazat, yo! Isaac Kazat, yo!
Vous n'aimez pas? C'est une chanson qui n'a aucun sens. Parce que ça parle de danse, une danse qui s'appelle le Pata Pata chez nous. Mais malheureusement, ou heureusement, je ne sais pas. Malheureusement pour moi, c'est pas une chanson which has a deep meaning. I would have preferred another song to be popular than Pata Pata. But then people choose what they want, so.
She went to all the camps, in Morogoro and in Zambia and in Tanzania. She'd find students all over the world, and like whatever she'd earned in that country, she just like make sure they were okay. All her life. Everybody just like idolized her. Sekou Touré of Guinea, Jomo Kenyatta of Kenya, Julius Nyerere of Tanzania. I've never known anybody in history or at any other time who had such close ties with every African president.
When you see an individual white boy, you're not afraid of that individual white boy. What you are afraid of is the power that he represents. Because behind him stands the local police force, the state militia, the army, the navy, the air force. When you see an African, there is no power behind him. There is no one speaking for his interests. There is no one to protect him.
Stokely Carmichael was a very brilliant student from New York. His family came from the Caribbean. He went to Howard University, which is a prestigious black university in Washington, D.C. He went there in 1960, a year in which a tremendous political focus was on Africa, on the independence of African countries. After King's assassination and Malcolm's assassination, Stokely became sort of the firebrand black leader. At some point in Guinea, in a visit to Guinea, maybe a subsequent visit, I'm not sure, Miriam and Stokely met when Miriam was there as a guest of Sekou Touré.
The Caribbean is full of black people. And our mother continent, Africa, there is to be found millions and millions and millions and millions of black people. Black power means all of these millions and millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of black people coming together to form black power. The entire mass media of America, came against SNCC and against black power. They did every possible thing to destroy the concept and were incapable of doing it. We have to find what our mission is, what the mission of this generation is, and do that, and do it perfect, properly, correctly, thoroughly, and completely.
Before
to sing this next song, I would like to introduce my accompanists. On bass, we have also the man who writes most of my English songs. He comes from the United States, Mr. Bill Salter. On guitar and accordion, we have from Brazil, Sivuca. On second guitar, we have from the Republic of Guinea, in Sigiri, Kemoko Kuyate. Last but not least, the man who plays just about everything on conga drums, shakers, bells, and what have you. Also from somewhere on this continent, via Puerto Rico, Leopoldo Simba.
The day after they're married, which is your honeymoon. This is the time to be celebrating. The day after, she discovered that all her concert dates in the United States had been canceled.
I remember being in a car with Stokely, and he pulled up to the FBI. He said, "Well, I'm leaving now. I'll be back in such and such a time." But they were always right there. Where they lived.
We have problems everywhere. Sometimes people send us threatening letters, and some send very vulgar letters and tell us, "Nigga, get out of here and go." So there's nowhere to run. We just have to stay wherever we are and fight to liberate ourselves.
Some people here say that you've lost something of your popularity back in the United States. They don't buy your records so much as before. What do you say to that?
Oh, that's not true.
That's not true.
No, I wouldn't say I've lost my popularity. There is a boycott on my records on the part of radio stations, but I don't think I'll ever lose my popularity with the people.
Why this boycott?
I don't know. They all give different reasons.
Is that because of your marriage to Dr. Carmichael?
Mostly, yes.
And you, Mr. Carmichael, what are you going to do here in Sweden?
I'm just going to be with my wife.
Other plans, political activity or such?
No, I'm just going to look and listen.
The greatest paradox of Miriam's life for me is that she was very close to Golda Meir, who was crazy about it until 1967, when she was married to Stokely and he said something about Israel. And the next day you couldn't find her records in the stores. And she was just iced in the States. And I think that very week, she just, Sekou Touré just said, "Hey, you have a home in Guinea." And that's when she went to Guinea.
Because Stokely was so outspoken, a lot of people at the time canceled my shows, saying they can't feed the hand that bites them. So I left and went to Guinea with Stokely, and we were married for 10 years.
It was during the Pan-African movement, and the one common goal was what they had together during that era. She felt she was part of that, and she was a soldier in any aspect in terms of transferring the message of unity, Africa, and just many other aspects of the continent. She was always there. And if it meant that she had to sing, if she had to travel, go to the United Nations, whatever it was, Mama Africa was always disponible to the government.
Myriam Makeba était donc au centre du combat du peuple de Guinée et des autres peuples d'Afrique qui luttaient pour l'indépendance ou le départ de la tutelle étrangère. Voilà donc une rencontre politique, idéologique, qui a fini par se muer à une profonde amitié entre Sékou Touré et Myriam Makeba, et d'autre part, l'acceptation par le peuple de Guinée de Myriam Makeba comme une de leurs héroïnes nationales.
Our next artist is one of the most magnificent talents of our time, and I take great pleasure in introducing to you Sister Miriam Makeba Carmichael. Really great. Probably everybody wants to know how Stokely is.
He's well, he's alive and well in Conakry.
Do you see any difference in, say, the way that this government, let's say dealing with the government, the way that this government approaches you as a black African coming here and the way that the South African government is approaching black entertainers? Do you see any similarities, any differences? You know
I always say the only difference between South Africa and America is very slight. In that South Africa admits that they are what they are. So in a way, you know who to deal with. So you don't have to be guessing.
You have a couple of children.
I have one child. She's 20 and she has 2 children. Her name is Bongi. She writes some of my songs. She writes some of my songs. She has a little boy whom she named Lumumba, and she wrote a song about him. And now she has a little girl whom she's named after me. She called the little girl Zanzi.
Oh, wow.
That's my Xhosa name.
You know, it's been almost 24 years I've not been here. Conakry will always remain as a home to myself and my sister, Zanzi. Our mother was buried here, and my brother was buried here, and the late, great Kwame Ture, also known as Stokely Carmichael. Just the hospitality of the people. As I said, I would cherish that for the rest of my life. It wasn't about the outlook of what the place looked like, not the superficial look and all of that. It was basically about true human relation, brotherhood, sisterhood, etc. When we used to run around barefoot, you know, somehow I feel that that energy went into our feet, you know, and it always had us coming back here. We just kept coming back. And to my grandmother as well, being so far away from home over 32 years, there was no other place that she could call home but this place. When the late, great Ahmed Sékou Touré asked Mama Myriam Makeba, out of Guinea, what region would you like to have a house? Where do you feel mostly at home? She mentioned Dalaba.
no jalbi sonange yalti ndari kine men no jalbi bede se yaltini di mungu Onanga yimiraino mena ko yimanaino ay gardie makko kadi be may nyande hotel gardie makko wonnodo sarsere on kadi may.
There's a particular site that you see of the landscape, which looks extremely similar to South Africa. We would always go round this mountain, and she would always say, I miss home so much. This reminds me so much of home. There's a picture of my mother, Simongile, who passed on March 17th, 1985, very young. She was only 35 years old. This is where the porch was, and it's still here. This is where the musicians would rehearse. Mazi would sing.
Artiri bibe mundo, OPDG artirindi mungu. Je ne peux plus continuer parce que Papa Kouyaté n'est pas là.
La Guinée avait beaucoup d'étudiants sud-africains qui étudiaient ici, des docteurs et tout ça. Et tout le monde, vous rentrez chez Myriam, il n'y a rien que des étudiants. Et tout ce qu'elle gagnait dans le spectacle, elle payait les études des étudiants, elle donnait à manger, elle payait les études.
My grandmother telling me that there's nothing special about me. I just love what I do, and I do what I do. I do it for a bigger cause, for a bigger purpose. Mazi loved happiness. She used to have parties, just everybody. She loved to get-togethers. You could never come to my grandmother's house and there's not food. But she taught me that too. She said, Zanzi, when you cook, even if you're broke, you must always have food. And when you have food, even if it's just a little piece of food or one piece of bread, when people come to visit you, you must always have a piece for somebody.
Elle représente le peuple noir en Amérique, le peuple noir aux îles de Caraïbes, le peuple noir en Amérique du Sud, le peuple noir en Afrique, surtout l'Afrique du Sud, notre pays, et Namibia, qui ne sont pas libres d'abord. Alors pour moi, elle n'est pas seulement une chanteuse internationale. Elle n'est pas seulement ma mère à moi-même, mais elle est la mère de l'Afrique.
This is a song that was written by my little girl. It was in Mozambique that I first heard the words in Portuguese, a luta continua. When I came back, I told Bongi all what I saw. I said, write me a song. She wrote the song. We have the habit of dedicating it to the people of Mozambique and to their vanguard party, Frelimo, and to the beloved Samora Machel. Maputo, Maputo, home of the brave, our nation will soon be as one. Frelimo, Frelimo, Samora Machel, Samora Machel as one.
She wrote some of Miriam's biggest songs, Quedet, Mozambique, Aluta Continua, West Wind.
We were supposed to be 4. My 2 other brothers passed away, so they are buried in Guinea.
On m'a fait un enfant, l'enfant s'amusant, a pris des comprimés, avant d'être à l'hôpital, l'enfant est décédé.
Nobody knows what he put in his mouth, what happened to him. And she had to help that boy running around to ask for help, and the boy was already dead. And she is the one that have to tell her daughter, your son died.
Bongi est morte dans mes mains. Elle avait fait une fausse couche. On l'a hospitalisée à Ignazdine. Et elle est morte là.
The day she passed away, when I heard she passed away, I cried like a little baby. But she was just amazing, an amazing talent, a talent that was never got to be known.
Everything was sudden. I mean, it took a long time for them to acknowledge to us that she had passed because we were quite young. We were kids, and I think they didn't want to let us know during our trip coming out here that she had passed.
It was hard. It was hard for any mother. It was one of the greatest tragedies, I think, of her life. And I think she never was really the same after that. She was stunned.
We were quite close. We had nobody else out here. She had me, I had her.
3 flights up in the rear, 2 where my childhood days were spent. It wasn't much like paradise, but amid the dirt.
She was the grandmother that came in New York when I was a little kid, and I'd pack my bags to want to leave and go off with her. And she'd spoil me as a grandmother, you know. But at the same time, she realized my mother was no longer there, and she was taking kind of like a role, a double kind of role.
My wonderful.
Music is a healing. Yeah, she talked to me about that. As you know, my great-grandmother, her mother was a sangoma. My grandmother was also a sangoma. My mother was a sangoma. I have the same thing. That's what I've been told by the family, by her. Sangoma is ingoma is what? It's a song.
You know, they sometimes say you don't have to be, you become a healer and do something else but healing people. So Miriam was a healer through her music, not through herbs like her mother was. Her mother did it with herbs, and she did it with her music.
Por amor andeja, tanto changuema, Senhor, já nem sei se o amor não aguenta bastante pra sofrer. Que vou fazer uma oração, vou cantar para ver se vai valer. Laia, ladaia, sapatão na minha Maria. Laia, ladaia, sapatão na minha Maria. Oh, meu santo defensor, traga o meu amor. Laia, ladaia, sapatão na minha Maria. Laia, ladaia, sapatão na minha Maria. Se é fraca a oração, 1000 vezes cantarei. Laia, ladaia, sapatão na minha Maria. 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 Laia, ladaia, sapatão na minha Maria.
Quand il y a eu la Deuxième République en 84, les militaires pensaient qu'il y avait des opposants donc, qui étaient cachés chez elle. Ils sont venus, mais c'était des copains à moi. Ils ont fait semblant de chercher, mais ils ne cherchaient pas en fait. Mais elle a eu peur. Et quand elle est allée à l'aéroport, on a dit « Madame, vous ne pouvez pas partir ». Elle a eu peur. Elle avait acheté une maison en Belgique. On allait tout le temps en Belgique. Elle était plutôt plus fréquente en Europe qu'ici.
She's a person that went through a lot of pain. But geez, when she takes that microphone and she's on stage, man, the pain is gone. The pain is gone, and all she does is to just give to people. And that is the thing that, for me, is the essence of Miriam Makeba.
In 1959, she began a world tour, and when she attempted to return home, 1 year later, she was refused readmittance. She's been a political exile now for 27 years. Miriam Makeba.
There was a full moon on the golden city. Knocking at the door was the man without pity, accusing everyone of conspiracy, tightening the curfew, charging people with walking. Yes, the border is where he was waiting, waiting for the children, frightened and running. And one got away, but all the others are in the jail.
I often say that I don't know why I was banned, and I don't see why I should be told what to do after all these years. And as our leader Nelson Mandela said, he will not be released from his prison while his people are still in prison. I've always wanted to come home. Of course, I couldn't, but when President Mandela was released, the whole world was waiting in front of their televisions, and I was one of them. I was in Brussels when I saw him walk out of there. I can't tell you how I felt. I just went on my knees and I cried and I prayed. When I came home for the first time, I went straight to my mother's grave and I sat on it and I talked to her. I felt like I was sitting on my mother's lap. And I told her how sorry I was that I was not here to see her to her resting place. And I felt very good. It was the beginning of the healing of that wound.
Makeba's music when I was very, very young. I was probably a little toddler. And the older we got, the more we became connected to the political side of her work. And I think in the beginning of my career, that's what influenced me the most, that her music had a perspective. It wasn't just music, it had a political perspective.
Her music was banned at home, and of course we used to have records. The more they banned it, the more the music was spreading. That was a blessing in disguise, in fact, because as young ones, we've learned so much from her.
But she had so much faith in the future of Africa that when we came back to South Africa, I don't think that she was given the status that she deserved. And all the other African presidents were gone. They were all gone that she knew. The new ones were like most of them were neo-colonial guardians of Western or Eastern interests, But I think it broke her heart. I think sometimes, somewhere, she realized that the African unity that she had prayed for and sacrificed so much for was not going to happen.
I feel that she's here. The pain doesn't go away, but every day it gets easier. I would think I was angry because I was supposed to be with her in Italy. Immediately when I was supposed to get into the car to go with her, there were people there. She was like, "No, Zanzi, I don't think you should go. I think you should stay." And then she took Kwame. He was 6 months. She spoke to him. And then she gave me back the baby. I gave the baby to one of my little cousins. And she said, "I need to talk to you." She was already in the car. And she said, "Zanzi, I just want to let you know I love you very, very much. And I want you to know that you need to be strong. You need to take care of my home." And when she meant home, it's not material. It's not about material things. Home means, I understand it even now, home means whatever one is going through for these past years. It means everything that she read. I want you to make sure you take care of her legacy.
Mama died on November 9th Yesterday we had a gathering with family and few family friends. Today we decided that we will bring all the band members, all those that could come, so that we can make some closure as well.
And then she said to the people, you know what? I want you to remember these guys.
She said, remember their names and their faces.
And their faces.
With or without.
And she said, I want you to applaud them, to keep on applauding them with or without me. It's like she knew
what was going on.
2 days later. 2 days later,
went to Italy. I'll never forget the way she was smiling at us when she turned around, you know.
Yeah.
She turns around and looks at the band. She was smiling like, in a way she was telling us, I love you.
The audience were busy saying, Miriam, Miriam, Miriam.
And then she said, we said, Mazi, we're bowing. She said, no, we're not. My children have to go tonight. We're not bowing. And then she left.
Yeah.
Just a couple of meters, she collapsed.
Yeah.
And that was it.
My grandmother strictly said to me, Zenzi, I do not want to be, buried. I want to be cremated, and not for any religious reason. And you must put me where the two oceans meet. She always said it. She said she wants to find a daughter, my mother, and she wants to also be able to find all the other people all over the world that she met during her years of exile. That's why she was cremated and put into the ocean. She wanted to flow.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our show. My French is not very good, but I'll try. On vous remercie beaucoup, mesdames et messieurs, et on vous souhaite la bienvenue. Et notre prochaine chanson est une chanson qu'on aime beaucoup. Et dans le monde entier, et il y a les gens qui nous aiment et il y a aussi les gens qui ne nous aiment pas. Il y a le deuxième groupe qui disent toujours « Ah, voilà Myriam Makeba, elle est là encore en train de chanter la politique ». Mais j'ai une bonne réponse. Je le dis toujours que je ne chante pas la politique, je chante que la vérité.